Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for the Lions Den Show. And here's your host, Cody Judy.
Hello and welcome to the Lions Den Show. I'm your host and your toast, Cody Judy. Here's to you. You'll have to pardon me today. It was one of those under the weather days for me, you know. One of those days where you drag yourself to the pharmacy aisle for pain relief, and not only do you find what you're looking for, but you also find some relief that you're not the only one feeling that way, because as you're walking by people, you can hear them sigh and grunt and groan as they're rummaging through the available medicines, trying to bend down, and it hurts. You find them and you just know they had the same kind of morning or day you did. Today is a strange day, and the forces of opposition are working overtime, it seems, to unravel the family. I myself am in the middle of a regrettable divorce, my fourth one with 3 women. Now, of course, I wasn't married to them all at the same time as my wife's attorney would have you believe. No, I've never had but one at a time, and haven't been very successful at that. I think, to put it in grocery store terms, I'm kind of like those frozen concentrate orange juice things you buy, where it's going to taste a lot better if you dilute it with 3 cans of water. So after this divorce, I think I'm just going to pretend I'm an 18-year-old again and dating, and I'm going to be needing a Monday through Tuesday girlfriend, and a Wednesday through Thursday girlfriend, and a Friday through Saturday girlfriend, and I'll take Sundays off, and if they can, switch days once in a while, because sometimes Friday is a better day to go out, or Saturday, then that'll be all the better. Now, in all fairness to me, I've tried to explain this to my ex-wives, but they don't want to believe me. We get into a marriage, and sure enough, it ends up, bad for everyone. What's strange, I've always said this, you never marry a better person. You only marry a different set of problems. And I believe that's true. Yeah, I think it'll just work out a whole lot better for them and me, and if they, in their right mind, will read the directions on my forehead. It says dilute with 3 cans of water. Well, I'll be better off. As Jesus' disciples question the matter also, saying in Matthew 19:10, if the case of the man be so with his wife, it's not good to marry. And then Jesus elaborates to them that there are different natures that actually are born out of the womb. Now, if you just happen to be of a different nature than, say, what the society you're living in subscribes to, well, you're actually going to be walking through hell most of your days of your life. And that includes people like me who are concentrates and those of the gay community. Divorce now seems common. Around 55 to 60% of marriages end up in divorce. And this, I believe, is due to pride and selfishness, and is more a result of the lack of recognition and appreciation towards your spouse or the opposite gender, and what you think happiness entails versus what you suppose happiness is. Jesus said in Matthew 19:12, all men cannot receive this saying, save they to whom it is given. So not everybody's going to get this. For there are some eunuchs which were so born from their mother's womb, and there are some eunuchs which were made eunuchs of men. And there be eunuchs which have made themselves eunuchs for the kingdom of heaven's sake. He that's able to receive it, let him receive it. Now, for those who don't know what eunuchs is, it's a reference in the Bible to a class of demasculated men. Men who are either refusing marriage in a celibacy vow, or a gay or homosexual. Now, what Jesus is saying here is that we men don't all have the same natures. And you women shouldn't expect that we do. Even within the gay community, there are different ways in which that comes about. In reverse order, you may have a priest that chooses celibacy for the kingdom of heaven's sake. You might have a homosexual that follows that pattern based on the people he hangs out with, which could also be a little more along the lines of a transvestite's nature. And you could definitely have a homosexual that came out of his mother's womb that way. It's interesting, Jesus says, you're not all going to get this, save they to whom it is given. Jesus himself said, great are the words of Isaiah. And listen to what Isaiah said. For thus saith the Lord unto the eunuchs that keep my Sabbaths, and choose the things that please me, and take hold of my covenant. Even unto them will I give in mine house, my walls, a place, a name better than of the sons and the daughters. I will give them an everlasting name that shall not be cut off. Now the covenant, basically referred to here, is any contract or bond or obligation, oath, vow, performance, connections, associations, or even expectations that are made and sealed in the name of God are good with God. He has the power to make that holy. Now these connections vary between genders. There's a whole host of them. Even in the histories of the Native Americans, we find the associations and connections that were made by homosexual men or individuals who were set apart in tribes and consecrated to representing the tranquility of brotherhood between other tribes. This is to say that man lying with another man is not always bad. It can represent good and a harmony. And likewise, we already know that man lying with a woman can also be good, and it can also be bad. And this article gives some interesting statistics as to the percentages of women versus men who are filing divorce. I don't want to spoil it all for you, but here's the link. The article is entitled, Divorce is Highway Robbery. Now, of course, divorce has been around as long as marriage has, it seems. And I hope you won't think ill of me for delving into this subject. It affects everybody. My hope is perhaps you may find in discovery some new ways to find more wisdom and understanding with your spouse and the opposite gender. One thing all of these statistics tell us, that is when you pit man against nature, nature always wins. I'll say that a different way. When you pit a society who perverts the natural laws of men into something unnatural, well, that society will self-corrupt. And the wrong judgments are the quickest way to find that out. In Jeremiah 3:20, we read, Surely as a wife treacherously departeth from her husband, so have ye dealt treacherously with me, O house of Israel, saith the Lord. Our society is indeed being torn apart with a lot of different things and a lot of different agendas. It's time that we build upon the firm foundations of nature rather than being found in an opposition of nature, which ultimately just spells failure. Judgments about relationships that are wrong and oppose nature can do a great harm to society. And the opposite is true also. Righteous judgments, or good ones, can be a great blessing to society. And my hope in this segment is really to open your eyes and hopefully to help your understanding that the natures of men and how God has created the institutions for harmony for all relationships. And it only takes a little research of the wisest man in our history to gain this understanding and